Yesterday evening, when I came out of the back door, I saw a hawk take off from back here in this sand area where the chickens are. It was actually on the ground underneath our fishing line, and then it flew off from under the fishing line into the woods. The irony of that is we let the chickens free range, being worried about them outside of the fishing line, and the hawk actually flew in here under the fishing line. Anyway, later that evening, when I went to go put the chickens up and counted all the chickens, one of the black baby chickens is missing. And this time it was a red-tailed hawk. I could clearly see that. And that is definitely the first confirmed attack we've had by a red-tail. I do know we've had attacks by Cooper's hawks in the winter. My main concern is that the babies are what is attracting the hawk to the backyard, because it's looking for something that it can pick up, fly away with, and go eat somewhere else where it's safe. But man, it was so brazen to just be sitting down here on the ground like that, and all the chickens were hiding underneath the deck. And I don't think when I saw it was when it got a chicken. I think it was shortly after that, and there was no getting the chickens all back in the chicken coop at that point. So we're getting an early start this morning, and what we're doing is taking this area where I had put my test chicken garden in. That didn't work out so well, but we're using this to create a temporary chicken run, and we're gonna move the babies over here with with the young cockerel that I call Rockstar, and allow them to go over here in these tall weeds and grasses and stuff where they can actually hide, because out here in the open, even though there's this fishing line, there's no protection from hawks out here. The plan for this little run that we just did is only to leave them in there basically today while we work on what was going to be, or is going to be, don't know yet, the rooster side of the chicken coop. And we're going to turn that into the side right now for the babies. Glenn was in the chicken coop and he hollered, "There's a little black baby chicken in here." And I was like, that's impossible. All of the chickens, all 6 of the baby chickens are out here in the run. And I went and looked, and sure enough, obviously there was a little black baby chicken in there. That means we didn't lose a baby chicken. This just made my day. I don't know how in the world I miscounted the chickens so many times yesterday. I don't even know how many times I counted them, but I even counted them last night when they were on the roost, and somehow I missed it. Maybe it was tucked under another chicken, or I don't know. It's gonna be a good day, I guess. We need to get a little hook for this door and a pulley, but for now, I'll just take it in and out. But I do want to paint this trim today because it isn't exactly treated. Should be good and dry tomorrow for when the baby chicks start using it. But I'm gonna go get cleaned up and make some dough. I'm making calzones tonight. Probably need to go ahead and make my sauce. And then we're gonna go down and try to get some work done on the goat shed. We've had a whole lot of rain lately, slowing a lot of our projects down, but it's kind of hard to complain because we could have the total opposite problem. Anyway, our internet is still down. I think this is the longest outage that we've had in quite some time, but it is what it is, and you know what? I'll upload the video when I can. It'll be waiting for you guys. Oh. We're putting the siding on the shed wall that we framed in, and this is the last of the repairs for the water damage. And the next thing will be to add on the shelter for the goats, to build that out. And kind of need to do some more dirt work before we do that, but it's probably too muddy for that today, so we'll see. Kaja and I are gonna go down and finish making the calzones. I need to get those ready for their last rise, and I wanna see how the chickens are doing. Hey guys. While I'm waiting for those to rise, I'm gonna go help Glenn finish up this siding. Come on, Kaja. You ready? Come on. We finally have dry enough soil to dig up our potatoes, which was really concerning me because we just kept getting rain after rain, and I was worried about potatoes rotting. Well, I've dug up almost all of the first row of potatoes that we planted. Now, this row of potatoes was the potatoes that we, as an experiment, stored in our crawl space in the crawl space of our house, and they ended up sprouting those really long shoots, and it was a question of how well those potatoes were even going to produce. Well, I'll tell you, they hardly produced anything. And there definitely are some potatoes that have rotted, and granted, you know, tend to have a little bit of that anyway. So we'll see how bad it is when I get into the rest of the potatoes. The rest of the potatoes are Kennebec potatoes that we bought this year, and those plants did way, way better. I really wish I could have done this morning, but the ground was just still too wet. All right, Kaja, we got 4 more rows to do. I think Glenn's gonna do some mowing and weed eating. We kind of got behind on that this year, but hey, you know, you do things when you get time to do them.
Days are speeding by. No, there ain't no time to cry about giving up on things I really need, like laying on your chest, no distractions, moving with nowhere to go. So pull me close, baby love, kiss me the way I like it. I'm sick and tired of fighting and just feel so wrong. Pull me close, baby love, kiss me the way I like it. Let's find our silver lining and make our way back home. Been trying my best to give you all I can. Until I ends in heartbreak.
She's like, we're supposed to be digging, right? Let's go.
Without the ring of a telephone, just you and me in our cabin in the trees.
Finally have a couple tomato hornworms that decided to grace us with their presence. And I'm kind of surprised that they haven't shown up earlier, but I've been waiting for them, and they've already done a lot of damage to 2 tomato plants. Pretty much as disgusting as it gets when it comes to a bug. Definitely my least favorite big bug. You want it? Oh. Alright, the other chickens are gonna get it. Here, chickies! Don't worry, I got more coming. I think that is it for me tonight. I got 2 of the rows done, but it's been a long day. I'm tired. Good news is there weren't a ton of rotten potatoes like I was worried about. That's always been like our biggest problem growing potatoes in this heavy clay soil, and that's why I mounded them up and planted them in the mounds to try to prevent that, and it looks like it did a pretty good job. I don't think I had more rotten potatoes than usual, so I'm happy about that. Yields were so-so. Would have liked to seen higher yield, but considering what we're growing in, the medium that we're growing in, I'm not going to complain. You have to be grateful for your gifts. Some years you just have better crops than other years, you know, bumper crops, and so it's hard to say, you know, if it would have done better or worse otherwise, but it's way better than last year. I'm not going to complain. But I have 3 rows left, and I think I'm going to do those tomorrow, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. You know, over the last year of losing so many chickens and losing my favorite chicken, Uni, I've really come to the level of acceptance that loss is going to happen. It's inevitable. And all I can do is mitigate those losses. And yeah, I could, you know, do something out here to completely lock the chickens down and have no access, but then we would have to provide 100% of their food. And the whole purpose originally of our homestead was to be as self-sufficient as possible. And that kind of makes that really difficult to do. So what I've come to accept is that what I need to do is mitigate loss as much as I can. I can't change the way that nature works, but I can change the way that I work with nature. I'm learning.